Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Dennis Learning Center YouTube channel. My name is Taylor, I'm an academic coach here at the Dennis Learning Center, and today I'm going to be taking you through the third of a three-part video series about adjusting to online learning. In today's video, we're going to cover how you should review your online lectures. In this video, we're going to be breaking down that review session into two parts. The first is the review itself, the second is recall. So let's start with the review section. This is a section that most students are most familiar with, and this is a section that most students remember to do every time they're prepping for an exam. In this section, I have two main recommendations for you on how to make sure that you're getting the most out of reviewing your lecture content. The first recommendation comes from one of my colleagues who suggests that because you've already seen the slides for a video, you probably don't need to see them again unless there's graphics or specific equations that you need to review. If you can get by with just listening to the audio, she recommends that you could take your lecture with you on your CDC recommended walk or outside on a run or jog, etc. So that's a great way to get a quick refresher on what was covered in your online lecture. The next thing that you can do in your review process is reformat your notes. For me, if I have a fill in the blank slide, I'll take what I filled in and I'll add all the rest of the content that was already in that slide deck and create a comprehensive set of notes, either by typing them up in something like Google Docs or Word, or by writing them out by hand. When you do either of these things, now is a great time to add any extra information that you recall hearing in your lecture, add anything that you thought was interesting, highlight things your professor seemed to emphasize, etc., etc. That's another great way to engage with the material post-lecture and ensure that you remember it better. Studies show that the more times you reformat information, you force your brain to process the information again and increases the likelihood that you remember it in the long term. So that's two ways that you can improve your review process post-lecture. Now, here's the part that most students forget. In addition to the review section of your study session, you should also have a recall section. It can be really helpful to take the time post-lecture to set up things that will test your active recall when it comes to actually prepping for an exam. One great way to test your active recall is by making concept maps. That means that you're taking content from multiple lectures and tying it together. This can be particularly helpful in the case that you have an essay exam or an exam that you know is going to be testing you on compounding topics. That actually happens a lot in STEM subjects as well, so whether you're more of a humanities person or a STEM person or somewhere in between, a concept map can be a really helpful mechanism for testing your active recall. The way that this works is you hide your notes from yourself and do your best to write down everything that you remember from each of your lectures from that week or from the last couple of weeks. And in the end, you'll go back and bring your notes out and see what topics you didn't include in your concept map and add those back later. That's a great way to reformat your notes, incorporating the review component, but it also tests your ability to remember information 1 or 2 days or even 1 or 2 weeks after a lecture. Another great thing that you can do to set yourself up in your exam review sessions is creating a study guide as you go. This means that if you're taking something like Cornell notes, you're taking all the questions from your notes and putting them in a format that you know that you're going to see on your exam. For example, if I know that my exam is going to be essay-based, I'm going to be taking all the information that I wrote down in my Cornell notes and writing it in a way that I think is probably going to show up as an essay prompt in my exam. Notably, if you do have an exam that has multiple choice or true/false, remember to write your questions as if they're testing you on the exception and not the rule. This means that you understand the rule, but you also understand the exception to it. Professors love to test you on this. As one of my colleagues says, whenever you're doing your exam prep, you should try to think as much like the test maker and not the test taker. Creating these tools will save you a lot of time when it comes to doing your actual exam prep later, and it also gives you a really great way to review the content that you learned in your lecture. I hope these tips were helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video series. If you did, please give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe for more content from the Dennis Learning Center, and of course, leave a comment, tell us what you want to see, tell us your favorite way to prep for, stay engaged in, or review for your lectures, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.